Good morning. I'd like to call the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners to order. Today is Thursday, August 20th, 2026. We'll have a hard break at 9:50, and then we're going to go into closed session at 10 o'clock. We also might be breaking for lunch between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. All commissioners are present in chambers. Invocation given by Mitch Forrester of New Hope Bible Fellowship, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Hendricks, will you lead us in the pledge?
Okay, let's pray together. Our Father in heaven, we approach your glorious throne, the creator of heavens and earth, and the one that has made the very air that we breathe. You are the one that has all the power and all the might to grant their requests that we bring before you today. And so we do thank you for hearing us and always responding. We do pray, Lord, that for this county, that we continue to have the prosperity and the peace that we have had for so many years. And we pray that all of the decisions today that would be guided by you with your wisdom and your light, that we would have understanding so that this county could continue to be the wonderful place that it has always been. And Father, we do pray that everything will be done according to your perfect will and your good pleasure. And we do ask that everything will be done according to our Constitution and our wonderful Bill of Rights. So bless us now, we pray. Bless all those that are here today and these ones that are serving our county. Bless them richly in their lives. And we do ask these things in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me. Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And this brings us to public participation. Public participation, no action will be taken on any item until it is properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state the name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion on each agenda item, but before the board takes any action, do we have any public comment?
Robin Diggs from Yerington. For the record, I'd like this public comment to be put into the minutes. Pretty much word for word. Minutes of the April 3rd meeting cannot be approved. There are too many generalizations of public comment which alludes to misrepresentation that there is no wrongdoing with the open meeting law violations. An example is the Nevada Sunshine Rule Law Act. Statements from other public comments individuals are also not accurate. So therefore, those minutes cannot be approved at this time. County Manager Andrew Haskin continues to be uncivil towards me since December of 2025. Yesterday at 4:45, I requested his secretary, admin assistant, Martha Taria, Tappa, to print out the draft minutes that were going to be approved. I shared with her issues with staff and elected officials and how they are being uncivil and rude. And I need some footage Even the person that was arrested over here at that meeting, there is no footage in here of what's going on with the sunshine rule and how crowded it is. I asked him again. At 5 p.m., he most likely heard it all because he came out of his office, and I requested a doorstop be placed in the door while we were gathering. He said no. I said it will help significantly as we gather with public and presenters and elderly coming in and out of the office, and especially during recesses. He said no. I told, I'm gonna have to just skip on that. Number 3, County Commissioner Scott Keller, the chair, after the 5-hour meeting that lasted 5 hours, I hope the secretary can find that date and that meeting. He was speaking to 2 tribal members near my vehicle. I suggested again to him, since 2025, I've been asking for that he would change his address from Carson City to a Dayton PO box. He started to walk away and shaking his hand at me, and that's on phone camera.
Time is up. Is there any other public participation?
Good morning, my name is Leo Solari. I don't know if I'm going about this right, but I'd like to ask that 11D be pulled aside for more discussion and review. Thank you.
Be like David or be like Boyd?
Be like David.
Is there any other comment, public comment? None online? Bring it back to the board. For possible action, review and adoption of agenda.
Move to adopt the agenda as posted.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Casanelli. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, bring it back for a motion, for a vote. Those in favor say aye. 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 Motion passes 5-0. 6, presentation of awards and or recognition of accomplishments. For presentation only, present Deputy Benjamin Beck from the Lyon County Sheriff's Office and Lieutenant Kyle Day with Nevada Department of Corrections with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. Sheriff Brad Pope.
Morning. Excuse me, Lyon County Sheriff Brad Pope for the record. Before I start, some of these that I'm about to read are going to be a little bit of a repeat, but I feel that since they're written for 2, in the next case 3 individuals, I feel it's important to read them into the record with those individuals' names specifically. Deputy Beck has been nominated for the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award for his quick actions, professionalism, and direct role in saving the life of a community member on July 26, 2026. Also with that nomination is Dayton resident Kyle Day, who was a lieutenant with the Nevada Department of Corrections, who was off duty that day. On July 26, 2026, at approximately 23:42 hours, it's 11:42 p.m., Mr. Day realized his neighbor was having a serious medical emergency and had collapsed. He immediately called Lyon County Dispatch, clearly explained what was happening, and began CPR. The community member became unconscious and stopped breathing. He continued to perform chest compressions until Deputy Beck arrived. At approximately 23:48 hours, Deputy Beck arrived, quickly assessed the situation, and took over chest compressions while deploying his AED. He and Mr. Day worked together, helping to prepare and apply AED pads. The teamwork kept CPR going without interruption and gave the patient the best possibility at a chance of survival. Both Deputy Beck and Mr. Day stayed calm, focused, and worked together until Central Lyon paramedics took over. As EMS prepared the patient for transport, He regained consciousness and was able to speak. 2 days later, his family reported that he was alert, breathing on his own, and expected to be discharged from the hospital. Deputy Beck and Kyle Day demonstrated exceptional teamwork, courage, and commitment to helping someone in need. Their quick thinking, courage, effective use of life-saving equipment, and commitment directly contributed to saving a life. For that reason, Deputy Beck and Kyle Day will be issued the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. Again, this is a very similar statement, but it's more directed towards Lieutenant Day of the Nevada Department of Corrections. Is with the, excuse me, utmost respect and appreciation that I formally nominate Kyle Day, a lieutenant with the Nevada Department of Corrections and a citizen of Lyon County, the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award in recognition of his extraordinary actions that directly contributed to saving the life of another. On July 26, 2026, at approximately 23:42 hours, Lieutenant Day, while off duty, recognized his neighbor was experiencing a life-threatening medical emergency. Without hesitation, Lieutenant Day immediately contacted Lyon County Dispatch and reported that a 53-year-old male was conscious but having severe difficulty breathing, gasping for air and turning purple. Approximately 2 minutes later, Lieutenant Day advised dispatch that CPR had begun. While responding to the scene, updates from dispatch indicated the patient had briefly resumed breathing before CPR and was again restarted, but his condition deteriorated. Approximately 23:48 hours, I arrived on scene as directed to the master bedroom, where Deputy Beck immediately observed Lieutenant Day performing high-quality chest compressions on the patient. After placing his AED on the floor, Deputy Beck assumed compressions with Lieutenant Day seamlessly transitioned to an assisting role. He quickly opened the AED, prepared the equipment, and handed me the pads for immediate application, allowing life-saving efforts to continue without interruption. Lieutenant Day remained calm, composed, and actively involved throughout the incident. He provided responding paramedics with critical information regarding the patient's condition and the care that had already been administered, enabling a smooth transition to medical treatment. Lieutenant Day's quick recognition of a medical emergency, immediate activation of emergency services, decisive initiation of CPR, and continued assistance throughout the response gave the patient the greatest possible chance of survival. His actions exemplify the highest standards of courage, selflessness, and commitment to preserving human life. As emergency personnel prepared the patient for transport, he regained consciousness and was able to speak while being loaded onto the gurney. On July 28th, the family provided an update advising that he was conscious, breathing independently, alert, and expected to be discharged from the hospital in the coming days. Lieutenant Day's actions on the night of July 26th were nothing short of exceptional. Although he was off duty, he demonstrated professionalism, composure under pressure, and an unwavering commitment to serving others. His training, decisive judgment, and willingness to continue assisting until advanced medical personnel assumed care unquestionably contributed to the successful outcome of this incident. For these reasons, I'm proud to award Lieutenant Kyle Day with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award.
Could I ask you guys to stick around? At the end, we're gonna take a picture of everybody all at once. This brings us to agenda item 6B for presentation only, presenting Deputy Nathan Cooper, Deputy Dawson Beddick, and Deputy Jeremy Patchen from the Lyon County Sheriff's Office with the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Meritorious Award narratives. Meritorious, I'll get it. Award. Sheriff Pope.
Uh, Thank you. Again, Lyon County Sheriff Brett Pope for the record. Today, we honor 3 of our deputies with the Meritorious Service Medal. Again, this is going to be read 3 times. I feel it's important for each name to be mentioned into the record. So bear with me, please. Start with Deputy Nathan Cooper. On July 31st, 2026, Deputy Nathan Cooper distinguished himself through exceptional courage and devotion to duty while responding to a rapidly spreading residential structure fire in the 500 block of Yellow Jacket Road in Dayton. Upon arriving at the scene, Deputy Cooper observed a fully involved fire that had spread from one residence to a neighboring occupied home. After learning that residents remained inside the threatened structure, Deputy Cooper forced access to the property under hazardous conditions as the primary entrance was inaccessible due to intense heat and flames. He immediately located and evacuated the elderly occupants from the residence. During the evacuation, one occupant re-entered the actively burning residence in an attempt to rescue a family pet. Without hesitation, with full knowledge of the dangers posed by the advancing fire, Deputy Cooper re-entered the residence and successfully removed the occupant, ensuring both escaped safely before conditions further deteriorated. Deputy Cooper's selfless actions, extraordinary courage, and unwavering commitment to preserving human life despite significant personal risk reflect the highest traditions of the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. His conduct is in keeping with the highest standards of law enforcement service and is deserving of the Meritorious Service. I read the Meritorious Service Medal Award regarding Deputy Dawson Feddick. On July 31st, 2026, Deputy Dawson Feddick distinguished himself through exceptional courage and devotion to duty while responding to a rapidly spreading residential structure fire in the 500 block of Yellow Jacket Road in Dayton, Nevada. Upon arriving at the scene, Deputy Feddick observed that an occupied residence was actively burning and that Deputy Nathan Cooper had entered the structure in an effort to rescue trapped occupants. Without hesitation and fully aware of the significant danger posed by the advancing fire, Deputy Feddick voluntarily entered the burning residence to assist in the rescue effort and to ensure the safe evacuation of both occupants and his fellow deputy. Through his courageous actions and willingness to place himself in harm's way to protect the lives of others, Deputy Feddick contributed directly to the successful rescue of all persons from the residence without injury. Deputy Feddick's courage, professionalism, and steadfast commitment to the preservation of human life reflects great credit upon himself and the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. His actions are in keeping with the highest traditions of law enforcement service and are deserving of the Meritorious Service Medal. To read the Meritorious Service Medal Award regarding Deputy Jeremy Patchett. On July 31st, 2026, Deputy Jeremy Patchett distinguished himself through exceptional courage and devotion to duty while responding to a rapidly spreading residential structure fire in the 500 block of Yellow Jacket Road in Dayton, Nevada. Upon arriving at the scene, Deputy Patchen observed that an occupied residence was actively burning, and Deputy Nathan Cooper had entered the structure in an effort to rescue trapped occupants. Without hesitation and fully aware of the significant danger posed by the advancing fire, Deputy Patchen voluntarily entered the burning residence to assist in the rescue effort and to ensure the safe evacuation of both the occupants and his fellow deputy. Through his courageous actions and willingness to place himself in harm's way to protect the lives of others, Deputy Patchen contributed directly to the successful rescue of all persons from the residence without injury. Deputy Patchen's courage, professionalism, and steadfast commitment to the preservation of human life reflect great credit upon himself and the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. His actions are in keeping with the highest traditions of law enforcement service and are deserving of the Meritorious Service Medal. Maybe you could come up here. And the dispatchers are receiving the order not here, so if you'd like to take the picture now. Yeah. We'll take pictures.
But shouldn't they be in it?
Thank you, Robin. One more. Yeah. Yeah, back. One more picture. Come on.
Yeah, so.
Dick Feller. Mr. Jacobson.
I just want to thank utmost respect and gratitude to all the recognized officers and all of our sworn staff actually in Lyon County. And then maybe we could get Lieutenant Kyle Day to join Lyon County Sheriff's Department. That would be great. We can do some poaching here today. It'd be perfect.
Oh, their office over my head.
Ask him to leave.
We stole a lot of his guys already.
Does any other commissioner want to make comment? Commissioner Hockaday.
Yeah, fantastic job saving lives. And making sure that we got people out of a burning building. It's absolutely above and beyond what most of us are expected to do, and yet we always have you guys jump in and put your life at risk. Taking the big risk like that is significant, and I appreciate your work.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all of them for their commitment. I mean, I can't even imagine that level of fearless bravery. So really appreciate what you do for all of us.
Mr. Casanelli.
Yeah, just echoing my fellow commissioners, made us proud and appreciate your service to our community. Every one of you. Thank you.
And I'd have to agree with my fellow commissioners. They said it very well. Thank you very much for what you do for our community. That brings us to 6C for presentation only. Presenting dispatcher Kiera Davis and dispatcher Sarah Walker from the Lyon County Sheriff's Office and Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life Savings Award. Sheriff Brad Pope.
Again, Lyon County Sheriff Brad Pope for the record. Today we're gonna honor two of our dispatchers and issue them the Life Saving Award. They were unable to make the meeting this morning. On their behalf is Dispatch Manager Eric Engelman is here to accept the awards. And we will deliver their medals to them at the office. Again, I'm going to read their very similar readings. They're short, but again, it's important to recognize each dispatcher individually. On Sunday, July 26th of 2026, dispatcher Kiera Davis displayed exceptional composure, professionalism, and decisiveness during a critical medical emergency involving a 53-year-old man who was unresponsive and not breathing. Within a minute of receiving the call, dispatcher Davis had created the call for service, dispatched medical personnel, and provided calm and clear CPR instructions to the reporting party. Her decisive actions and clear communication directly contributed to the successful resuscitation of the patient, who was urgently rushed to the hospital by Central Lyon Fire. Dispatcher Davis's command presence and ability to remain composed under intense pressure exemplify the highest standards of the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. In recognition of her outstanding performance, professionalism, and life-saving actions, Dispatcher Kiara Davis is hereby awarded the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life-Saving Medal. Life-saving award also for Dispatcher Sarah Walker. On Sunday, July 26, 2026, Dispatcher Sarah Walker displayed exceptional professionalism, acumen, and leadership during a critical medical emergency involving a 53-year-old man who was unresponsive and not breathing. Within moments of her partner dispatching the call for service, Dispatcher Walker had created a law enforcement call for service, dispatched deputies, and handled the phones, law enforcement radio traffic, and fire radio traffic. Her decisive actions and clear communication directly contributed to the successful resuscitation of the patient, who was urgently rushed to the hospital by Central Lyon Fire. Dispatcher Walker's quick thinking and multitasking skills under intense pressure exemplify the highest standards of the Lyon County Sheriff's Office. Recognition of her outstanding performance, professionalism, and life-saving actions, Dispatcher Sarah Walker is hereby awarded the Lyon County Sheriff's Office Life-Saving Medal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, that brings us to Commissioners, County Managers reports. I'll start off with Commissioner Hockaday.
Well, I put off my report from last time because I was in North Dakota. I'm trying to save a little time. Since the first meeting of the month last, actually what it was, the second meeting last month, at the data center workshop, which all the commissioners were involved in. A couple of Smith Valley Park Board meetings, Smith Valley Citizen Advisory Board meetings, phoned in for that from North Dakota. Went to the Dayton Government Center bean signing ceremony. Community meetings, several community meetings on activities that are going on in Smith Valley for the community center and wrap up for the 4th of July committee. Also, the Smith Valley historical meetings, had a couple of those, did a little work out at the old Valley Grove Cemetery, keeping that cleaned up and hopefully get that to be a historic site sometime in the future. And of course, we had the Hud Bay mining community meeting the other night at the community center in Smith Valley. Also probably got pulled aside at least a dozen times on several of the situations that we've been discussing here in the commission meetings. A lot of people are happy and a lot of people are unhappy. So a lot of discussion about everything going on in Lyon County.
Thank you. Commissioner Casanelli.
Thank you, Chair. Attended the ribbon cutting for the renovation of the Dayton Dog Park. Attended the bean top out ceremony for the Charles J. Kirk building in Dayton. Attended the monthly Campo meeting, Carson Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. And a little bit of an update there. The East Dayton Bridge, the study is underway. We knew it was going to be a 16 to 18 month study, but it turns out that our new Dayton State Park is potentially in the alignment of one or at least one, possibly two of the proposed potential sites. So that could cause a little bit more delay in that project, unfortunately. So we have to keep an eye on that. Also, NDOT was there, and I asked for an update on our Highway 50 Dayton pavement preservation project there in Dayton. That includes our 2 traffic lights The last update I received was in May, I believe, and I was told that within 30 days, that project would be going out to bid. It's supposed to be in progress currently. They couldn't even tell me if the project had been awarded yet. So I've reached out to the governor's chief of staff and setting up a Zoom call and see if we can at least get an accurate update on what's going on and let them know that that is a very urgent project. The traffic deaths in Lyon County for 2026 are at 14. Last year, for the entire year 2025, it was only 4. So we got a problem. I toured the new Boys and Girls Club Early Learning Center in Dayton. It's just about ready to have its grand opening. It's a beautiful facility. I had an opportunity to tour the Reno Tahoe International Airport and look at a lot of the improvements that are happening there. They're investing about $1 billion in this project. And the last time they had a major renovation on the concourses and the gates was like 40 years ago. And our planes now are much, much larger. So there's a lot of work going on there. So excited to have those improvements because it helps with the tourism in our entire region. So I participated in as a panelist in a Q&A for a chamber leadership forum. Had another meeting on opportunity zones, updates on those coming soon, and met with a couple of developers in the Dayton area. And if I could just take a moment just to address, apparently people don't like me having a PO box. I can't understand why, but you know, our family business is 51 years old this year. I was born and raised in Carson City. I've lived in Dayton for over 35 years, but opened up that PO box about 40 years ago because during the 50 plus years, our company's moved about 5 times, including several locations in Carson City and a couple in Lyon County. It's a lot easier to have a PO box than to change my stationery every time I move. So I shouldn't have to address why I have a PO box that I've had longer than some people have lived in the state. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Hendricks.
I attended the beam signing and top out ceremony at the new government center. Met with the governor's office of energy to discuss their abatement processes and how that's all handled. Attended the Nevada Association of Counties Energy Summit, and there was a great amount of information there. Attended the Great Basin Open House in Silver Springs. And last night I attended the Carson Water Sub-Conservancy District Board meeting. And prior to our meeting, we toured the Rolling A expansion, and that's coming along very nicely.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair. Attended Planning Commission via Zoom and did a walk through the Silver Springs waste management facility. Kim gave me a great tour, and the ladies out there were very cordial and in great spirits. That was wonderful. Boys and Girls Club area meeting with rural counties, Humboldt and then the club in Ely are part of that. Attended a Boys and Girls Club fundraiser. Attended USDA meeting hosted by Lydia Sabalos. Interesting. Toured Dayton Government Complex. I missed the beam signing. I was busy that day, but I did get over there and also did a walkthrough on the ELC building in Farnley. Both are looking great. Attended the NACO virtual tour on energy. Nevada Works Board meeting for local officials. Attended Great Basin Gas Transmission Company Tuesday night meeting, absolutely unbelievable. The size of that pipeline going to be coming in by 2028. So I was there instead of the HUD Bay. I apologize for missing that. City Council meeting last night for Fernley. And finally, spirit of driving safe, wore my Fernley High shirt, drive careful out there. School opens today. Keep your eye out for kiddos. Thank you.
I attended the grand opening of the Waste Management Transfer Station. Attended the NACO federal policy update on the OMB uniform guidance rules with, it was presented by Aaron Hurley, who's the Chief Government Affairs Officer for NACO. We were talking about impacts on Lyon County for federal funding. Also talked to Mark Amaday, Congressman Mark Amaday, regarding the same issue, and then followed up with his office. And right now, I think we're in a holding pattern because it got pushed out on the CR till December before it takes action, but we'll see what the Senate does at that time. Hopefully we can get them to push it out for a year, and then we can have more talks on the Hill to try and get some answers. I attended the topping off ridge beam signing at the Charlie Kirk Governmental Building. Got to enjoy the fair, the Lyon County Fair, for a couple days. I attended the Fernley City Council on Zoom. I also attended the Silver Springs Area Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of business that's moving into the area. I attended the NACO County Energy Forum. I also attended the Great Basin Gas Transmission Company expansion project. That they have to have so many open houses as they move forward, and so FERC was there, and so we got to meet with them. We'll be seeing them a few times. The National Association of Counties Governor's Office, on the National Association of Counties, the West Region Caucus, the Agriculture and Rural Affairs Steering Committee, and the Rural Action Caucus. They just put in their new members, whoever got appointed to either chair or vice chair. So we have a new dates to attend. So we'll be attending those next month. And I also attended had a meeting at the Governor's Office of Energy on renewable energy abatements. They're different than GoEd. And so it comes out of that office. So we got an understanding of how that works. And that's it. So we'll go to County Manager Haskin.
Good morning, Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. It's been a busy few weeks. First off, I want to thank everyone that attended the Lyon County Fair and Rodeo. It was a successful event, really good turnout, and really want to thank the Fair and Rodeo Board. They did a fantastic job, but a lot of folks don't realize how much work they put into that event. And so I really want to thank them. Lots of volunteer hours there to pull that one off. Also want to thank the Comptroller's Office, Facilities and Roads. They were also instrumental in that event. Want to thank everyone for attending the topping out ceremony for the Dayton Government Complex. It's pretty impressive to see how that building is coming along. Core construction has been fantastic to work with. Just a little bit of an update. We're hoping to have that building fully enclosed by the end of October. So it's moving right along, and for those of you that have been around construction, you know that trying to get that done by the end of October so you can beat the weather will really go a long ways to keep us on track for opening next spring. So really excited about that. I attended the NACO presentation on the OMB regulations. Those regulations, as Commissioner Keller pointed out, are certainly concerning for the county, as it could have significant impact on grant revenues and grant projects. So we will be watching that very closely. And I have also had conversations with the core group on that as well. So they're keeping an eye on things in DC for us on that. Had a meeting with Bert Bryan from the Walker River Irrigation District. Little discussion on water rights and possibly doing a presentation here for the county commissioners later this fall on water rights. It's a very complicated issue, and so I think getting that information out to the public would be very beneficial, so that people can better understand how those work and what people can and can't do with them and the different types of water rights, because there's several different types. And then finally, Commissioner Casanelli mentioned it briefly about the second bridge in Dayton and the state park. I had a meeting with state parks earlier this week to discuss that and discuss where we're at with it. Our consultant in that project received a letter from state parks saying that they would prefer that the new bridge didn't cross state park land. But several of the routes that we're evaluating as a part of the feasibility study do cross through the state park, including the board's preferred option at Shabs. And so had a conversation with them. The state parks is willing to work with us. Part of the issue is the way that they purchased the park with some grant dollars. There was some restrictions on that. And so there is a process to work through that. And so, you know, we're not there yet. We need to finish our feasibility study, figure out what is most feasible as far as that bridge, and then kind of work through the process from there. But at the end of the day, it wasn't a hard no. It was, they said that they were willing to work with us, and so we will continue to work with them on that process. The state park will have to come to the county for some entitlements, and so we will, and I let them know that transportation will be a part of that discussion. And so we'll work through that process, and I will keep the board informed as that moves forward.
Any questions for county manager? On that state park, is it on both sides of the river?
It is, and I wasn't aware of that when the state park had notified me, or the state parks had notified me, I don't know, probably 6 months ago, that they were looking at it. But at that time, I was told that it was just the lands to the east of Aspen Creek development there. And so that's where the issue comes in. The Aspen Creek development had actually in their tentative map included right away for the bridge. And so we kind of have to work all the different pieces there.
Couldn't we talk to them and perhaps that the bridge is at their benefit for access to the other side, and therefore it'd be part of the grant process?
That was definitely part of the discussion that we had. And I also let them know that, you know, the state park is new, the bridge is not. We've been talking about it for 30 years. We've had multiple public meetings on it. It's been on our master plan for at least 20 years. So it's something that needs to move forward.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, it brings us to number 9, appointed officials reports. Do we have any appointed officials? No, I'm sorry, elected officials reports. Okay, go back to the next one, appointed officials reports. Not everybody at once. I was kind of, go ahead, Mr. Foley.
Josh Foley, Lyon County Comptroller for the record. Andrew's already stole my thunder a little bit on the fair and rodeo. It went well. But in addition to that, I want the board to be aware of an issue we're having at the Fernley Justice Complex. So we've received complaints from the court that they have at times strong marijuana smell in the building itself. It shares the same building as the sheriff's evidence storage, just so everyone's aware. It's been there for a long time. And we are actively working with the sheriff's office to figure out how we can remediate that. It may end up with us coming up with some additional options that we bring to the Board of County Commissioners to remodel that space, the HVAC to that space, cleaning, and then possibly equipment to destroy some of that evidence so that we have less of it on hand when we get those big drug busts. So just so you know, it's an issue for the employees up there, and it also affects the DA space and juvenile probation space in that building. So just wanted to give you a heads up. So when we come back in the future saying, hey, we've got an issue here, it's not because someone let a bunch of skunks loose in the building. It's something else we're taking care of.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
And I was hoping we would, emergency management, we had three sit reps, maybe tell us about where we stand on some of that, how it went.
You bet. Taylor Allison, Lyon County Emergency Management Gov Affairs Director. We had a very eventful week last week, as you saw, and we provided reports to our emergency management partners and the board. Lyon County Emergency Management was deployed to support the Bug, Red Mountain, and Stallion fires through a resource request from the State Office of Emergency Management. Washoe County's emergency management team had been operating for over 30 hours without sleep. So we did assist there in providing evacuation messaging and alerts to the communities that were evacuated. In addition, we were released back to our community to support flash flooding weather. So significant impacts. Most of those were in Smith Valley, runoff from Desert Creek into the Saroni Canal, and some other flash flooding. Fortunately, most of those, thanks to the work by our roads department and Walker River Irrigation District, were mitigated quickly. No major impacts. And then, of course, what do we do? But then have a tornado warning, which was concerning. Our communities are certainly not prepared for tornadoes. It's not the Midwest. So when we get those, it's alarming. But we did call the National Weather Service first to validate the alert, as we've had false alerts for earthquakes in our communities, just to ensure that that was accurate. They did share with us that a storm was rotating over I-80 around Patrick and USA Parkway and had the potential to produce a tornado as it progressed towards Burnley. So quickly shared information. I want to thank the community. I think everyone got a little emergency alert fatigue after all the incidents happening in Northern Nevada. There was also fires happening simultaneously in the Pine Nuts that Douglas County responded to. Our search and rescue volunteers were great. They went out and supported a closure at Ricky Canyon to keep OHV out of there, just so everyone's aware. If OHV is operating, then air assets can't provide bucket drops. So great all-around effort from all of our partners that jumped in to help and did the right thing. And again, thank the community for listening to emergency alerts when it becomes overwhelming and that fatigue kicks in. So happy to answer any questions also.
Commissioner Arcade.
Thank you for the updates on the fire west of Smith Valley. I was able to take a few runs up and down Upper Colony and see where the smoke was coming from and over to the other side of Jack Wright. I do appreciate the update on that. Thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to give a shout out to the Furman Boys and Girls Club and being housed in the Emergency Response Center. Did deliver on the worst fire danger day 300 meals to the Wadsworth area. Made and delivered. So I want to give a shout out to those folks as well, and thank you for the updates.
I did forget one more thing. I'll just add is that we did do a pop-up educational event on the Stallion fire in Fernley at the Rayleighs. We partnered with the incident management team that assumed command of both the Stallion and Bug fires and North Lyon Fire Protection District, just to get out some education to the community. I'm sure it was scary watching the rollover invisible for several days. So,
Any other questions? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Here we'll go to number 10, advisory board reports. Not seeing anything. We will take a break right now because we will be having public comment on the consent agenda. So take our break now, and then we're going to go into closed session at 10 o'clock sharp. So be back in the chambers beforehand. Here we'll bring our commission back to order. We're on number 11, consent agenda. Action will be taken on all items. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted upon by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Does any member of the board want an item pulled?
I'll just say currently 11D for discussion.
Is there any other requests? Is there anything from the public?
I'd like for this comment to be in the minutes.
I'm asking you if you want an item pulled.
Item 11D for possible action, approval of the August 3rd, 2026 special meeting minutes.
We're already pulling that. We're pulling that.
Where did I hear that from?
Mr. Solari and myself.
So
So it's been twice.
You don't have to say it with a bite. So I heard you say 11B for the track,
11D.
the minutes.
but you said 11D. Well, BD, hearing impaired. Also, the open meeting laws are being violated. This monitor isn't on. There should be stationary monitor on the wall by the men's restroom and a stationary monitor on the wall. in the lobby.
Excuse me. You're done.
Being violated.
You're done.
That in the records and in the minute, word for word.
So what we have before us is one item 11D being requested to be removed for consideration. So I would take a motion for.
Chair Keller, I'll make a motion that we approve consent agenda 11A through 11H, pulling 11B as in dog.
I will second, and I just wanted to make a comment about, again, great job by Health and Human Services on these grants. There's a lot of money there and good job. And second.
Okay, I have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, second by Commissioner Casanelli. Is there any public comment on the motion? Seeing none. Go to the vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Now we will go on to 11D for possible action. Approve the August 3rd, 2026 special meeting minutes. Is there anything from the board?
Chair Keller, I just would recommend that we go to public comments so we can hear the concerns on 11D.
I thought it might be helpful to have the county manager kind of stand up and give an overview of what is and isn't included in the minutes generally and how that's done. That.
Do you want to expand on that now or later?
I can expand now briefly. Steve Rye, District Attorney. Nevada law requires that the minutes include the person making any public comments, the general nature of those comments. If the person asks that the minute the comments be included specifically in the minute, then it needs to reflect those comments in more detail. If that somebody provides a written comment and asks that be included in the minutes, it needs to be attached to the minutes.
Thank you.
Those are the general requirements.
Thank you.
So normally not a transcript.
Yeah, the minutes are not a transcript. There's no requirement that it include everything. However, it does require more detail if the person requests that.
Thank you. If there's no comments, I'll come back to the board. If there's no comments from the board, I'll go right to public comment. Okay, public comment on 11D.
Good morning, my name is Leo Solari. I'd like my comments to go on the record. When I attended the meeting on the data center, it was my understanding from the prior year of attending these meetings that we were working on information that would be included in the Monarch. It wasn't until the end of the meeting that the Planning Commission, Jones, came on and secretly revealed to all of us that none of this stuff we've been working on is included in the Monarch data center. My question is, I'd like to know how many of these other data centers are hidden from the public they got their application in. And they're grandfathered in. I don't understand that it would be less BS going on online about what's going on with these meetings if we just be more upfront with the public of what's happening. If we're gonna make a data center compliance meeting, why don't you tell us this has nothing to do with Monarch Data Center? That's all I gotta say about that. I don't think none of this is fair.
Phyllis Hiskett for the record. I'd like everything included in minutes. I think what might be an issue is clarification. I think there might be a misunderstanding in the public. When it says approval of the minutes, you're not actually approving the ordinance itself. You're just approving the minutes of the meeting, correct? And I think there might be a misunderstanding that you're approving the ordinance stuff specifically. So maybe clarification would help objections. Thank you.
Is there any public comment in the room? Okay, we're gonna close public comment in the room, go to online. Mark Jones.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to make clear the comment that was made earlier using my name. My comment was that we were only addressing Monarch in our agenda. We weren't addressing any of the other data centers. That wasn't before us at the time. So that's what was basically said. Thank you.
And I'm not seeing anything else online, so I'm going to close public comment and I will bring the county manager. I wanted to. There was a clarification that I wanted you to make, if at all possible, because I don't think anything that we're doing is grandfathered in. I think it's what is actually in statute right now. And we're working toward an ordinance. Right?
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. I mean, I think that's a little bit different item than the minutes, but I can provide a little bit of clarification in that, yes, ordinances or applications are reviewed based on the ordinances that are in place and already passed at the time of the application, not retroactive. That creates a due process issue. So that's not a just uniquely Lyon County thing. That's a universal thing.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, unless I misunderstood, I didn't hear any public comment that that was specific to changing any items in the minutes. So I think you're okay to approve if the board chooses to do so.
Okay, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Move to approve the August 3rd, 2026 special meeting minutes.
Do I have a second? We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Move on to the regular agenda. Number 12A, for possible action to approve the request by NV Energy for an abatement to the conditional use permit PLZ 2026024, authorizing the construction of 345 kV transmission lines as part of the Green Link West Transmission Line project. The proposed amendment specifically addresses approximately 10 miles of transmission line north of US 50 from Dayton, Stagecoach, and Silver Springs to the Story County line, crossing portions of 15 parcels. APNs 015-01105 through 07 10 015 1 through 06 015-531-19, 015-361-04, 016-011-02, 016-021-04, 24, and 021-411-04, PLZ 2026051. Senior Planner Lisa Nash, and I believe she's online.
Chair Keller, I'm in probably my hearing at my age, but what I heard is to approve the request from NV Energy for an abatement in its amendment.
If I said that wrong, it is.
There's a difference.
Yes, 100%. For the record, it was amendment.
Great. Good morning, everybody. Lisa Nash, Senior Planner. I see a couple people at the podium. Is there something we need to do before I start my presentation?
No, we can have a seat and she can present, then we'll get up and present.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be sure. So we're here to talk about the NV Energy GreenLink common tie facilities. This is a conditional use permit amendment to the application PLZ 2026-024 that was approved in July. And if we can go to the next slide. So this amendment extends the previously approved Gen-Tie lines north of US 50 to the Story County border. It's the same three lines, the Mira Loma, the Comstock Meadows 1, and the Comstock Meadow 2. And it's about 10 miles of additional line in this amendment. It's amending, like I said, PLZ 2026-024, which covered the portion from the Walker River substation to US Highway 50, approved on July 2nd. It has the same type of supporting facilities, distribution lines, mic amplifiers, the access roads. The heights are going to be the same, varying from 75 to 180 feet with the same approximate spacing of 1,200 feet apart, as well as 160-foot easement widths. As usual, there's approximately 10 miles of this segment falling outside the mapped BLM utility corridors. And this amendment affects 15 parcels. The parcels all total are about 14,000 acres, and we have put 12 conditions of approval on the CUP amendment. So if we could go to the next slide. So I wanted to go into detail on the maps exactly where these are located. So this portion is the westernmost portion. It's the Mira Loma and the Comstock Meadows number one line. The two yellow parcels that you see these lines going through, those are the BLM parcels. And then you'll see at the south part 016-021-04, that's owned by Southwest Gas. And I believe the easements extend into that parcel. And then it clips the corner of a privately owned parcel 015-36104. If we could go to the next slide. So I wanted to show what the zoning and the master plan is for these four parcels. You can see the two Bureau of Land Management and the parcel, the northeast corner parcel, are all rural residential 20-acre minimums. And the master plan varies for each of those. We have resource, open space, and rural residential. In this area, by my measurements, and I've asked the applicant to look at this as well, we are our closest resident is about 3,800 feet to these two lines. So if we could go to the next slide. So this is the Comstock Meadows 2. This is the south portion of it. It follows Annette Avenue North to USA Parkway, and it crosses 8 private parcels in this area. You can see the line runs through the 8 parcels on the west side of Annette Avenue, and then there is a residential neighborhood on the east side. That is the closest location to a residence, and by my calculations, it's a roughly 180 feet to the easement. And I have also asked the applicant to address if there will be any, it's just lines running past this area, or if there will be how many poles or where there will be adjacent to any existing residences. And the portion of that residential area that has some development is about 0.7 miles long. So if we could go the next slide. This is showing the 8 lands. 5 of them are owned by Crosby NV Land. And then there's the NV Reno Industrial. That's part of the NNIC, Northern Nevada Industrial Center, PUD. Most of these properties are all the RR5, which has the 20-acre minimum zoning. And then the one closest to the highway has a split zoning between RR1, RR5, and neighborhood commercial or the limited commercial development. They're all within the specific plan of Stagecoach. So if we could go to the next. Here's the northernmost part of Comstock Meadows 2. It follows USA Parkway to the Story County line. It crosses 3 parcels. One of it also, crosses part of parcel that I included in the is down in the southeast corner that was listed in the last table. So this comes up, crosses USA Parkway, heads along the northern edge, so it avoids some of the NNIC industrial plan development, crosses back, and then stays on the south end of USA Parkway until it hits the Story County line. There is a little triangular piece at the northwest portion of this line, and that is a separate owner. If we could go to the next slide. So you can see NNIC owns 2 of the parcels, and then Ramsey LLC owns the last, and that is currently zoned rural residential 20-acre minimum. So if we could go to the next. I'm sorry, to go back on the last slide, when you get to the CM1, Comstock Meadows 1 north parcels, the closest residence I noticed was over a mile, either east or west. So it's basically going to run through an already planned industrial development. So, sorry, we can move on again. All right, so these 15 subject parcels, I've talked a little bit about their master plan designations. They all fit within these 4 master plan designations, and they have the zoning districts of planned unit development for that industrial development, RR1, RR3, RR5, all rural residential, C1 and C2. And I wanted to note, transmission lines are allowed in all zoning districts in Lyon County. The reason we're here is the CUP is required if there is any part of an alignment of lines that fall outside a designated utility corridor. Also, as I mentioned previously, there is that portion of the line along Annette Avenue that runs along the western side of Annette, but is adjacent to the partially developed residential area to the east. So additionally, all 15 parcels are in what we call the flood zone X unshaded, which means it has a very minimal chance of hazard of flooding. It doesn't mean no, but it does mean no floodplain development permits are required for this segment of the line. The previous CUP did require some floodplain development for parts, especially where it was crossing the river. We could go to the next slide. So we looked at the 7 findings that are required, and staff determined or felt that the amendment satisfies each of the following findings. A, requires consistency with the master plan, and the undeveloped land designated specific plan open space resource definitely supports goal FS5. It is compatible with most of the neighborhoods. However, there is that portion, the 0.7 miles that runs near a partially developed area on Annette Avenue. And we do feel additional mitigations would be needed. The next slide, I'm going to go into some of the conditions we're going to require. But moving on, traffic can be accommodated. They only expect 20 to 30 daily construction vehicles as the lines are being installed. And the minimum level of service would be maintained on county roads. They looking to D, roadway controls. They will be required to have traffic control plan for road crossings. Road maintenance agreements going to be required. They'll be required to it came up in the Stagecoach cab meeting. They have stated they will return any dirt paths that were created back to natural conditions, so we don't end up with lots of OHV traffic and stuff on roads that are inadvertently created. There will be some visual and noise impacts possible near Annette Avenue, and we are going to require mitigation, and shield and lighting will be required. So with that, yes, we do feel that they are being addressed. And F, it does comply with Title 15 standards. It meets the performance standards, and it has no long-term municipal utility demands. And overall, we feel that this strengthens the regional grid reliability. All the construction meets the required codes, and it's not detrimental to health and safety. If we can go on. I wanted to touch base on some of the key conditions of approval. This approval of the CUP does not give them the right to begin construction. They will still have to submit to Lyon County Building and Central Lyon Fire and Mason Valley Fire, any place any fire districts they're impacting, and have approvals from them. They then also, moving on to item 7, exterior lighting must be downward facing and shield from adjacent properties while they are constructing it, while work is being done, and any permanent lighting must be installed with this fashion. Item 8 is the road maintenance agreement. The applicant has to maintain the roads. They must have dust control on the county roads during construction, and anything that needs to be put back to the state it was when they started will need to be done. Number 9 specifically addresses the National Electric Safety Code. The construction, operation, and maintenance must meet or exceed that. Additionally, the storm drainage compliance, the drainage report and plans are required with the site improvement grading and building permit stage. Lastly, the permit expiration. The CUP expires if they don't begin work within 2 years and complete the work within 3 years at this point. So that is what we are putting on this permit. If we could go to the next. So with this, staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve it. We do feel that it meets the findings, being consistent with the master plan. The use is compatible with the adjacent development, and mitigations will have to be met. The roadway infrastructure can accommodate the project, and we don't feel it'll be material or detrimental with the 12 conditions we've detailed in our report. So with that, I'm available for questions, and the applicant has a presentation to make as well. So thank you very much.
Before we move on to the applicant's presentation, is there any questions for Lisa? Okay, go on to the applicants.
Good afternoon, almost, commissioners. Tiffany Beach with NV Energy. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us back. We're here to talk about, as Lisa outlined for you, the amendment for Highway 50 North. We did split that up intentionally so that we can meet all the requirements of the county, make sure we had all property easements and or affidavits, private affidavits, as we go through negotiations. We have achieved that, hence we are here in front of you once again. I am going to go ahead, just give you kind of a briefing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Charles Hutchinson with WSP to go through the presentation. We did have our meetings, not required. We were asked and happy to oblige to have additional advisory board meetings on this amendment. We did not get a chance to get in with Dayton. We did get in with Silver Springs. I made public comment, and then we did go ahead and invite everybody to Stagecoach and had a full presentation. Lots of great questions from the advisory board as well as the citizens. We went through maps, went through a lot of education in that meeting. It was very, very beneficial. So happy about that. So with that said, again, Tiffany Beach, I'm the one for NV Energy. So if you have any questions or anything, happy to answer. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Charles so he can give the presentation. Thank you very much.
Good morning, board. My name is Charles Hutchinson with WSP. WSP is NV Energy's owner's engineer and owner's environmental scientist for the NV Energy Green Lake Nevada transmission project. The slide presentation that we'll be delivering today is largely the same as what we delivered on July 2nd, as far as the overview of the Green Lake Nevada transmission project, and specifically the common tie facilities that make up the part that's in Lyon County for which the CUP application
was initially approved by yourselves back on July 2nd, and then we're requesting approval of the amendment, which is the north of Highway 50 part during today's hearing. Introductions again, my name is Charles Hutchinson, Tiffany Beach. We've also got Gosha Nordite with NV Energy. She's a project manager in the land resources group that largely works on the right of way and negotiations with private landowners to get those easements squared away so that we can have the land available for construction once the CUP is approved. This slide, again, just goes through what we'll be talking about, the Green Lake Nevada transmission project in general, and then specifically the common tie facilities and how that relates to Lyon County. And a lot of this will look the same as what Lisa had just presented as far as the route alignments on the maps that she had provided. At the end, we've got project contact information, and we'll be happy to answer any questions or comments from the board and the public. This slide just gives an overview of Green Lake Nevada transmission project in general. There are three main components. The first is Green Lake West, which originates in the Las Vegas area, extends northwest up to the Yerington area with a 525 kV transmission line. That's 525,000 volts, 525 kV. Common tie, which is the second component, which is why we're here today. That consists of three 345 kV transmission lines that orient west out of Walker River Substation, west and then northwest through Lyon County, and then into Story County and the city of Reno, where one of the lines, the Mira Loma to Walker River line, terminates at the existing Mira Loma substation in the city of Reno. The other two, Comstock number 1 and Comstock number 2 lines, terminate at the existing Comstock Meadows substation in Story County. And then the third component is Green Lake North, which is another 525 kV transmission line that extends basically due east from the Walker River substation that's being constructed right now, just north of Yerington here. That extends to the existing Robinson Summit substation in White Pine County. So those three components make up the entire Green Lake Nevada transmission project. The purpose, as we stated before, for the Planning Commission and to this board during the July 2nd hearing is the three main purposes are redundancy, resiliency, and reliability. Redundancy comes in the way of being able to transfer electricity between underserved communities and load centers that might need the electricity. And if there's any maintenance or failures along the line, NV Energy can redirect the flow of the electricity so that east, south, north, and west communities are served. And basically, when the transmission system is complete, it provides a redundant, resilient transmission system throughout Nevada. The line on the right there that you see, the solid red line, is the existing online project that NV Energy built several years ago that links the Las Vegas area to the White Pine County area to the Robinson Summit substation just south of Ely. The two other lines, as we've seen on the other map, are Green Lake West and Green Lake North. And when completed, that triangle of transmission creates a redundant, resilient, more reliable transmission system to serve NV Energy's customers throughout the state. A couple of key considerations is that Nevada Senate Bill 448 requires that this infrastructure be in place by the end of 2028. It's being built to accommodate NV Energy's existing customers and future customers that are requesting service. Right now, the primary purpose is to support the capacity. There's basically a reduction in capacity, or basically a shortage of capacity right now that NV Energy is experiencing, and this project will improve that. It's not being built specifically for any one customer. NV Energy has to entertain requests from all customers, whether it's a residential development, whether it's a solar farm, whether it's a data center, whether it's a Walmart. They have an obligation to provide service to their customers. Any of those customers have to go through the same kinds of studies, particularly when it involves federal land like data centers and solar farms. They have to go through the same process that NV Energy went through to actually get the line approved along the route that's been evaluated as the best route for construction and permitting. Next slide.
The overall project started in July of 2020, and since then, it's gone through the federal environmental review process through the National Environmental Policy Act. This slide just gives you an overview of when the project actually started in 2020. NV Energy had filed their application with the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada to amend their integrated resources plan. Every 2 years, NV Energy has to go to the PUCN with an updated integrated resource plan to show where existing infrastructure is being retired, where new infrastructure is being required, and to work through that process to make sure that it's approved by the PUCN before it's constructed. This gave rise to the Green Lake West Transmission Project and the Green Lake North Transmission Project, both of which went through the federal environmental review process, the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, which resulted in an environmental impact statement and EIS being prepared for both the Green Lake West and the Green Lake North transmission projects. Next slide. This just breaks down a little bit more of the detail in the NEPA process that was completed for Green Lake West and Common Just some dates here to note. At the bottom, there's a project documents webpage that members of the public can view. All of the information that the BLM prepared for the EIS is at these two links. It includes all of the draft EIS resource data analysis, the final EIS resource data analysis, as well as all of the maps that were prepared for the EIS and the public scoping comments and all of the summaries that were conducted with the meetings that were conducted with the public and cooperating agencies throughout the NEPA process. A key component of NEPA is project consultation and coordination with cooperating agencies, the public, and Native American Indian tribes. This slide just presents some of the outreach that the BLM has conducted for the EIS process. They actually started with a public input workshop, a couple of workshops that they conducted to get initial feedback from community members about what resources were most important to be analyzed in the EIS. That's a little bit above and beyond what they had to do. Typically, that public process starts when the EIS is noticed in the Federal Register that the BLM is going to be preparing an EIS. Then they open a scoping period and have meetings, virtual and in person, to gather community input. But they did a step further to just get initial public input first before the scoping period, which added on to that public input. Here are the resources that were analyzed in the EIS. It goes from everything from public health and safety all the way down to socioeconomics. Includes air quality, water quality, impacts on threatened and endangered species, tribal concerns, Native American religious concerns were also a big part of the EIS because there were several tribes that were involved between Las Vegas and Yerington and up to Comitai. So this list just gives all of the resources that were analyzed in the EIS. After that analysis is complete, there's a set of mitigation measures that NV Energy has to comply with by federal mandate and some by state mandate as far as state laws are required. This list just gives a detailed look at all of the different kinds of management plans that are attached to the EIS. So, for instance, air quality and water quality, there's plans that have to be in place and requirements that have to be met to make sure that air quality isn't degraded, water quality is protected. This list just gives an overview of everything that NV Energy will need to comply with as was mandated by the BLM through the NEPA process. There was also a significant public comment down there at the bottom, Appendix C. There's basically an 18-volume compendium of public comments that were compiled during the EIS process. The BLM is required to address substantive comments that come through the public process, the public input process. So those are included in Appendix Z, and you can see in that appendix how the BLM responded to certain public comments, and they were addressed in the EIS. All right, this next series of slides is going to show the maps similar to what Lisa had presented during her presentation. This first map just gives an overview of the Comitai facilities in general. This is the same map that we shared with you during the July 2026 hearing. The proposed transmission lines are the yellow lines. 3 of them orient from Walker River Substation down there in the lower right. Generally north and west to get to the Story County border, and then ultimately Mira Loma to Walker River terminates in the city of Reno at the Mira Loma substation. The 2 other transmission lines, Comstock 1 and Comstock 2, as I mentioned, terminate in Story County at the existing Comstock Meadows substation. This map also shows existing transmission lines, just to give some context about how these new transmission lines fit into the existing transmission network. Zooming into where the 3 lines that are subject to the CUP application amendment route. This is the same or similar to the map that Lisa just provided. In the far left, bottom left-hand corner are the 2 transmission lines that basically extend the least distance. It's Mira Loma to Walker River and Comstock 1 to Walker River are in the lower left-hand corner there. Those are each less than 1/10 of a mile, and as Lisa had mentioned, they clip a couple of different private parcels, but they're primarily on BLM land. The 3rd line is the Comstock Meadows number 2 line, which comes up straight, crosses Highway 50 along Annette Avenue, and then continues north along Annette Avenue before it generally parallels USA Parkway to the Story County border. That line is about 8 miles in length, so total it's around 10 miles when we add up the other 2 lines to it. These 2 pictures represent existing 345 kV structures that NV Energy builds and operates. We often get questions from the public about what the transmission structures will look like. The picture on the left is an H-frame tangent structure. Tangent structures are the ones that you see that are in line with each other as you are traveling along the highway and you look over to the mountainside and see a transmission line that's basically following the same path. That's a tangent structure. And then on the right-hand side of the screen is what we call a 3-pole, a dead end or an angle structure. The angle structures have to have a larger base at the bottom because they have to support the weight of the transmission line pulling in 2 different directions. That's why it's called an angle structure, or in some cases a dead end structure where it enters a substation. But the 3-pole dead end structure is where the line turns an angle, and that's what you'll see if you're driving along and you see an angle in the transmission line. That's typically the structure that will be in place there. And these are all in concrete foundations, typically about 30 feet below ground as the work that's necessary to put those in place. And then above ground here, the height for the tangent structure is generally between 75 and 125 feet. That's the typical height. And then the typical height for the 3-pole dead end structure is between 75 and 140 feet above ground. So after we had some community meetings with the citizens advisory boards in Silver Springs and Stagecoach and Dayton, we put together some photo simulations. These were taken, I took these photos about this time last year when we were out doing some more community outreach with the public for comment talk. What we've done is on the top panel, you see the existing conditions, and this is taken from, I believe this is on the edge of Osage Drive in Stagecoach or thereabouts. It's looking generally southeast toward Highway 50 is kind of in the middle ground. You can't see it, but it's basically in the middle ground. The top picture is existing conditions, and then the bottom picture is proposed conditions with what the transmission line would look like when built. And it's not simply an idea of what it would look like. Our engineers take the exact structure for that spot and the exact heights and its placement on the ground and the type of structure, whether it's the tangent structure or the 3-pole angle structure, and place it on the landscape based on topography and all of the engineering models that we've come up with to design the line. So this is as real as you're going to see what this transmission line would look like when constructed. And what I did, because I couldn't see myself when I was looking at the existing picture and the proposed conditions, where the transmission line was. So that's why I added the rectangular yellow box there to kind of focus your view on where the transmission line would be visible. It's even very difficult to see based on the topography there. You can, if you get up close to the screen, you'll be able to see exactly where that transmission line is. But from this vantage point from Osage Drive, it's barely perceptible on the landscape. This picture is at the corner of Greeley Avenue and Annette Avenue. We heard some comments during the stagecoach meeting back in June about the proximity of the transmission line to residences along Greeley Avenue, and I think that's what Lisa was mentioning during her presentation. So again, I was out there and I took this photo to basically inform the public about what the transmission line would look like from the vantage point of the end of Greeley Avenue and Annette Avenue. This is looking generally southwest. I was parked on Greeley Avenue about as far as I could go west along that. So if you're parked on Greeley Avenue and you go as far west as you can, and you look to the southwest, the existing pictures on top and then the proposed pictures on the bottom of where the transmission structures would be situated and what they would look like from anyone viewing this from the end of Greeley, basically looking southwest over to Annette Avenue. This slide just lists the distances that the three lines cross. Again, Comstock number 1 and Mira Loma are both less than 1/10 of a mile. And then the Comstock number 2 line is around 8 miles in length between US Highway 50 and then USA Parkway up to the Story County border. This slide just gives a list of all of the outreach and the permitting process that we've gone through with Lyon County from the time we first had a pre-application meeting with the county back in February of 2025, working through the CUP process. Again, on July 2nd, the board approved the CUP application from the Walker River substation up to Highway 50. And today the request is to approve the line from Highway 50 up to the Story County borders as part of the application amendment. So after land use permitting is concluded, we go into construction permitting, and that's where NV Energy's construction contract will be coming back to the Public Works Department to execute the road maintenance agreement that Lisa mentioned as one of her conditions. Also getting any kind of grading or access permits that might be needed during construction, any building permits that might be required during construction. Those would all follow on after the land use approval permit process is complete. Similar to Lyon County, we've gone through the same process with Story County and the city of Reno to hold a pre-application meeting, work through their conditional use permit, or in Story County's case, the special use permit process. So this just lists the status of those two jurisdictions and the work that we've done there. We just recently were approved in Story County back on the 4th, a couple of weeks ago, for the special use permit with their county. And we're working through that process with the city of Reno right now. And in addition to local government permits, we also have to apply for and obtain this list of state permits from different Nevada agencies, Nevada Division of Environmental Protection, which is largely charged with enforcing air and water quality regulations within the state. Division of Forestry, there was a protected plant along the Comstock Meadows number 2 line, so we had to go through the Forestry Department to get a permit for that. Division of State Lands, not applicable to this amendment, but lower between Walker River and the Story County line, we crossed the Carson River with each of the 3 lines, and the state lands board takes jurisdiction on that. So we had to go through them to get a permit for the right of way across state lands. NDOT, anytime we cross an NDOT facility, whether it's underground with the distribution line that we will be doing for Highway 50 for the optical amplifier site, or overhead along Highway 50, we have to go through NDOT to get encroachment permits and occupancy permits to make sure that they understand where the line is going. And if we're in their right of way, there's a permit that's needed from them to get that. Ultimately, this ends up at the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada. Through their Utility Environmental Protection Act process, we have to file an application listing all of the different local, state, and federal approvals that we're seeking. We provide that in an application. They review the application and say, okay, yes, this application looks good. We understand the purpose and the description here of the projects. Now provide proof that you've gotten all of these local, state, and federal approvals. They issue a compliance order to us. That compliance order simply says, provide proof that the 10 permits you've listed that you've already got. We have to provide proof that we've got those permits before they will issue us a UEPA permit to construct, which is similar to the BLM's notice to proceed. The permit to construct through the state is basically their notice to proceed that we're cleared for starting construction activities once we get applicable permits from public works departments at the local level. This last slide just gives an overview of the federal permits and authorizations that we have. Of course, the BLM being the lead federal agency for the NEPA process. They first issue a record of decision, which is basically their summary document of the environmental impact statement, laying out basically what route was chosen as the least environmentally damaging while still meeting NV Energy's engineering requirements. Corps of Engineers, we have to go with them for any waters of the U.S. impacts that we might have. Wetlands, stream crossings, anything that's under the Corps of Engineers jurisdiction, we have to get approval with them. And also importantly, the Federal Aviation Administration, we have to file structure locations, the heights and the latitude and longitude coordinates of where that structure sits on the ground so that the FAA can evaluate whether or not the structure needs to be lit, whether or not the catenary, which is basically the conductor between the structures, whether that needs to have a marker ball on it, or other kinds of mitigation so that we minimize or avoid impacts to navigable airspace through the FAA's process that they have. Largely, it's done online, but we file all the structures. FAA looks at everything, says, you know, you file 714 structures, 25 of them are going to be a problem. We need to have this mitigation in place before we'll issue you the authority to go ahead and construct so that you're not impacting navigable airspace. The project schedule, for the past couple of years, we've been in the permitting part of the project at the local state level after we've gotten approval through the BLM's NEPA process. Construction in Lyon County, anticipating to start this fall in 2026 and then into spring of 2027. At the peak of construction in Lyon County, you could experience or see perhaps between 200 and 400 people for the construction activity part of the project. Basically, from Yerington to the Story County line or to the into Story County, you might see construction crews working on different parts of the transmission line. Often it's not 200 or 400 people at one point and then they move to another point. The construction contractor has multiple crews working on multiple segments based on construction and service dates. And when we get material, that's another factor that we have to consider when we do a transmission project like this. Lots of times there's parts that don't show up when they're supposed to, so we have to make accommodations and move construction crews from one place to the next to be able to keep them working while we get materials in, and then progress on from there. So that 200 to 400 people is just simply an estimate. The last slide here is just the project contact email. greenlink@nvenergy.com. You can go to that, just type that email address in and you can provide comments or questions, and a member of the NV Energy Greenlink team will get back with you. There's also a website that we've constructed that has all of the different components on it about the project, frequently asked questions and resources that you can utilize to get your questions answered, or talk to one of us one-on-one about something that's on your mind about the project. And with that, we're happy to take any questions or comments from the board.
Do you have any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Casanelli.
Thank you for the presentation. Just one clarification. You set up the Story County Board of County Commissioners on August 4th, that the continuation of this Comstock 1 and 2 line was approved.
Correct.
To that.
Yeah, all 3 lines were approved in Story County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner, County Manager Haskin.
No, thanks, Chair. Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager, for the record. I normally don't ask questions, but I've got more of a curiosity question about right away dealing with the state park. Did your project go through the new state park, or does it go around?
Right now, I believe it goes through it, but that state park was not a state park when the line was first routed, so we didn't know that we were going through something that would future be a state park. But we're coordinating with Nevada State Parks to mitigate whatever impact they might have for the line going through there.
And you already had an agreement in place before it became a state park, right? Okay. I was just curious as to how that worked, or if you were going through a process, what that looked like. Sure. Was going to talk to you offline.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
I need to put my name again.
State it for the record.
For the record, this is Robin Biggs, and I would like for my comments to be put in the minutes word for word. Where to start? Page 11 and 14 show picture. Can you put 11 and 14 up there? They're showing pictures of existing lines. There's no ballasts on these lines. There's no ballast. There's no, you can go to I-80, all, you know, nowhere are there ballasts for the wildlife, for aeronautical. Yet there, at nighttime, there should be LED lights going on. You're not looking at the, you know, you're talking public safety, but you know, it's not there for the small planes. It's not there for the wildlife. We've got not looking at the migratory bird treaty, the migratory wild birds treaty with the geese and the ducks and the owls and the bald eagles and the golden eagles. You know, wherever there's water, and these lines are going, and a lot of this isn't showing where the water is. There needs to be ballasts up there. And this is just not happening. And it's very disturbing that these bases are already going in. The bases are going in already. And that just is interesting. On the private, where they go for private property and you're working with them to get permission, is money being offered to them to approve this? For it to be on their property? Are they getting monetary gain? Yeah, you're just not protecting the wildlife. This is not happening nationwide. And could you please put up PowerPoint? The page 11. Oh, no, wait, it's 12.
Your time is up.
So I'm being ignored.
Time is up.
I was being ignored.
Time is up.
Somebody could say.
Time is up. Ma'am, you cannot disrupt a meeting. Your time is up. Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll close public comment, bring it back to the board for a motion.
Based on findings A through G and subject to conditions 1 through 12, I move the Board of County Commissioners approve the request by NV Energy for an amendment to the conditional use permit PLZ 2026-024, authorizing the construction of 345 kV transmission lines as part of the Greenlink West transmission line project. The proposed amendment specifically addresses approximately 10 miles of transmission line north of US Highway 50 from Dayton, Stagecoach, and Silver Springs to the Story County line, crossing portions of 15 parcels APNs 015-011-05 and 07 and 010, 015-191-01 through 06, 015-531-19, 015-361-04, 016-011-02, 016-021-04, and 24, and 021-411-04 PLZ 2026-051.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Jacobson. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Brings us to number 13, Community Development. 13A for possible action to propose an ordinance amending Lyon County Code Title 15, Chapter 320, Table 4, thereby establishing post-secondary, trade or technical education as a conditional use in the heavy industrial, rural, and heavy industrial suburban zoning districts. Community Development Director, Gavin Henderson.
Thank you, Chair. Gavin Henderson, Community Development Director for the records. So as the item stated, today we're here for proposing an ordinance to add post-secondary trade or technical school as a conditional use permit in the HIS, which is heavy industrial suburban, and HIR, which is heavy industrial rural character districts. So a little bit of background. So July 16th, 2026, BOC heard a presentation from Community Development to review and discuss heavy industrial zoning districts. At the end of that item, the board approved 5-0 to recommend staff to bring back an ordinance amending table 15-320-4 to include post-secondary trade and technical education as a conditional use in heavy industrial zoning districts. This is a pretty simple ordinance. So this on the left side of the screen, the blue table, we have the current land use table. On the right side, in the green table, we have the proposed. So as one can see in the HIR and HIS, as in the current table, it is currently not allowed in that zoning district. So it's a pretty simple change as far as just updating the table to a C, which stands for conditional use permit in the proposed ordinance. And I just wanted to provide some additional information. So this ordinance, as proposed, didn't include any standards because there's already a definition for trade schools in Lyon County Code. This is section 15-1200-04.2.f.3. So that's included on the screen for the board to review, as well as there's already a current Lyon County Code standards that regulate this kind of use. Those are included in 15-330, which is the overall development standards. Those include standards by development type, standards applicable to all the districts, and then alternative equivalent compliance, as well as 15-337 industrial use standards. So that covers noise, maintenance of the property, light, those kind of things. And then 15-314 is our industrial and employment districts chapter. Those provide standards specific to the zoning districts, whether it's heavy industrial, light industrial, as well as setbacks, building height, buffer areas, and open space. So that's why there were no additional standards included in the proposal. And with that being said, that's all I have. Available for any questions the board might have.
Any questions or comments from the board? Commissioner Hendricks.
Yeah, I'm just really happy to see this, so thank you.
Commissioner Jacobson.
I would like to echo Commissioner Hendricks on that. A lot of kids these days, these fields are opening up big time, and to have something right out our back door, them to go to school, not have to travel into Reno or elsewhere to get the education and training needed will be very beneficial. So thank you for your work on this. And if there's no public comment or after public comment, I'd love to propose this one.
Any other comment from the board? Any public comment? Seeing none, bring it back for proposal.
With that, Chair Keller, I'd like to propose an ordinance amending Lyon County Development Code Title 15, Chapter 320, Table 4, thereby establishing post-secondary trade or technical education as a conditional use in the heavy industrial, rural, and heavy industrial suburban zoning districts.
Thank you.
Second.
That was just a proposal.
Okay.
So brings us to number 14, Government Affairs. 14A for possible action, review and approve a resolution requesting a bill draft for the 84th Nevada Legislature establishing a statutory funding formula for county assessments for child protective services that incorporates both county population and actual utilization of child welfare services, better aligns with county financial responsibility with service demand, and provide incentives for counties to implement successful prevention programs that reduce utilization of child protective services. Emergency Management and Government Affairs Director, Taylor Allison.
Thank you, Taylor Allison, Lyon County Emergency Management Government Affairs Director. At the last meeting, you asked that we bring back a resolution to move forward with a bill draft request to codify a funding formula for the CPS assessments for counties. This week, we actually had a great conversation with DCFS Administrator and her fiscal representative about the potential funding formula. Got some feedback and bringing the resolution forward today. We did share with them that this was on the agenda to move forward and potentially submit by the filing deadline on September 1st.
Do we have a comment from the board? The question? Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Move to approve a resolution requesting a bill draft for the 84th Nevada Legislature, establishing a statutory funding formula for county assessments for child protective services that incorporates both county population and actual utilization of child welfare services, better aligns county financial responsibility with service demand, and provides incentives for counties to implement successful prevention programs that reduce utilization of child protective services.
Second.
We have a motion from Commissioner Hendrick, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed 5-0.
Thank you. With this resolution, we'll get it filed with the Legislative Council Bureau and work on getting our draft language.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bring this to number 15, utilities, 15A for presentation only. Utilities project update, utilities engineer, Kishore Panda.
Good afternoon. For the record, Kishore Panda, Utilities Engineer. I'll give a quick update of the projects from the last quarter. So as usual, here is the summary of projects right now in different phases. There is one project in the pre-design or planning stage, which is Silver Spring GID wastewater plant effluent disposal study. If you remember, this is a ARPA-funded project. There are multiple components. The project has been there for a while. There are two projects in the design phase. Three projects. One is from the previous quarter. If you remember, Rose Peak Water Main Replacement Project, funded mostly by EPA Community Funding Project. Lift Station 1 Waste Well Sewer Lining Project. We are continuing to some study on this Lift Station 1 condition assessment. So after completion of that study, we are doing a temporary fix to this project by putting some lining in those structures. The third project in the design is Silver Spring Wastewater Plant Sludge Pond 2 cleaning. This is also following the completion of the evaluation of the sludge pond cleaning by consultant. Based on the recommendation, we are going to bid the project to clean one of the two ponds, possibly in sometime in October. There are two projects in construction, which number one is Rolling A Plant Phase 4 expansion. This project is there for last over 3 years right now. The second project under construction is Highway 50 Dayton Valley Road Sewer Replacement Project Phase 2, which started sometime in March of this year. There is no project completed in the last quarter. Next, I'll give some additional details on each project, and at the end, I'll be happy to take some questions. Next one. So this is the study funded by ARPA fund. There are 4 components. Out of the 4, we are done with the filtration system evaluation. I'm going kind of from the bottom to the top. Number 3 is the disinfection system evaluation, which almost done. The last minute edits they are doing to complete the report. The second part of that is the completion of a preliminary engineering report. Basically, that will explore all the alternatives of disposal sites in Silver Spring besides what we are doing right now. So this preliminary engineering report is also under progress. We are expecting the final, the draft report soon to review. Number one is the infiltration capacity evaluation of the current disposal site, which is inside the Silver Spring Airport. There is a swell that we discharge about 1/3 of the effluent from the plant capacity right now. When I say 1/3, that's the 100% capacity effluent being generated right now. But the plant is built to about half MGD, 500,000 gallon per day capacity, but we are producing about 1/3 right now. So the study is basically going to find out if that soil is going to take 100% of effluent, when that is going to be produced from the treatment plant in the future. So there's some delay, but at this point, we are designing the study and we have end of this year to spend the money. So I hope that we'll complete the study by end of the year. Next one. This is the design project, Rose Peak Waterman Replacement. This is about 6,800 linear foot of existing pipeline replacement in Rose Peak area. This is funded by EPA Community Project Funding Grant. Board basically gave a contract to the consultant approval in June of last year. It went through various environmental review, including the NEPA requirements, the grant application. So things were kind of moving a little slow so far. But as we progress to the end of the process, we are about to finish the grant application as well as the environmental review. We just gave the clearance to the consultant to start moving the design from 30% to the final design. There are some budget details there. I will not go through that. We are basically working with the consultant to design the project at this point. Next one. This is Lift Station 1 waste oil and sewer 5 lining project. As I said, this system was evaluated by the consultant preceding this project. So what they found that Lift Station 1 is in not a good condition to sustain operation in the future. As you can see, some of the pictures I pulled on the project, this was built in 1970s. So their recommendation is to replace with brand new lift stations because this is one of the critical location in the system that is next to the Carson River, taking all of the water from the west side of the town. So, but that new lift station probably will take some time to build. In order to sustain operation until next couple of years, consultant recommended to line basically the waste well, the structure, as well as the pipe coming under the river. So we are working on that. Hopefully within the next couple of months, we'll complete that project, then wait for the next phase of the master plan when we can decide what is the best approach to manage the wastewater in that area. So that's a little project. We are working with a consultant from Lumos. They are designing and preparing the bid document, which we are going to informally bid the project and hopefully start the construction sometime in October. Next one. This is following the evaluation of the sludge cleaning approach in Silver Spring plant. Atkins is retained because they are the consultant who did the evaluation of the project. They are designing the project. We built the project for one of the 2 ponds cleaning sometime in the spring of, or possibly before spring or end of this year. And following the pond 2 cleaning, we'll just plan for the next pond cleaning because at a given point, we have to have 1 pond in operation so that plant can sustain operation. Next one, please. This is the plant expansion project at Rolling Edge. It is there since October of 2023. As of date, project is substantially completed on February 26. We are getting beneficial use of the project. There are 2 items pending. That's why we are not there yet on the final completion. One is the remaining punch list items, which contractor is working right now. The second part is the correction of some defective work that engineer found during construction. So contractor is working on the punch list, but as of date, they have not given us a final date to take care of that defective work. Budget wise, as you can see, the construction side, we have enough budget to complete the project. But the construction management, which is provided by Dow, the last amendment to board approved for additional budget of $112,000. As of date, if you can see, we have left only 24,000. In the last amendment, the engineering services partly was responsible to complete the project, the other part to take care of the defective work, some additional repetitive work, which county is entitled to recover from construction contractor. Likewise, at this point, we need some engineering support to complete the project as well as take care of the defective work. So in order to sustain the services from Dow, I think we are presenting our next item to request the board for additional funding, which most of them will be recoverable from the contractor as per the contract. And all the details, like the change orders, as I said, the construction side, we are under the budget. We have enough budget to complete the construction, but engineering support, we need some additional funding for that. Next one. This is highway. Next one. So this project, as you must have seen along Highway 50, it is a sewer replacement project, about 1,800 linear foot of pipeline across that Century gas station all the way to the property next to Dayton Valley Road. Notice to proceed construction was issued on March 30th. The substantial completion was today. But there is a month of delay that was attributed to different subsurface condition we found. We had to change the design, work with the owners of the gas station. So this basically approved about 30 days of delay to the contractor and some cost change to the project. So as of date, we are hoping this project is going to be wrapped up by end of September at this point. Budget wise, the contract was 6.03 million. So far payment made to contractor is 2.75. We don't hope that contingency will be borne totally, which is about $500,000. As of date, we have spent only 85 out of that $500,000 of contingency. The construction management is provided by Lumos, which little bit tight at this point due to additional scopes of work for the project, but we are trying to fit within the budget, and we don't expect anything to come back to the board for another funding for that project. So that's all I have today. I'll be happy to answer if you have any questions.
Do we have any questions from the board?
One quick question on this, Castanelli for the record. Dayton Valley Road sewer replacement project. That's just gonna be an 8-inch line. Is that what I saw in here? 12-inch line, okay. That was it.
The existing line is 8 inch.
Okay,
We are kind of planning for at least next 30 years of exposure.
thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, that was for presentation only, so we'll move on to
Thank you.
15B for possible action. Approve amendment number 3 to task order 116 rolling A wastewater treatment facility WWTF Phase 4 expansion project construction administration with Dow, previously Far West Engineering, in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to extend additional construction administration and engineering services required to complete the project. The cost will be funded from the Dayton Sewer Fund. John Sinclair.
Good afternoon, Sean Sinclair, Utilities Director for the record. Mr. Panda kind of touched on this a little bit, but really the nuts and bolts of this, because we've kind of talked about this in previous meetings is. And those SBRs, when Mr. Panda was describing defective work in those basins, some of that piping has been classified as defective work. The issue is the contractor's trying to get the subcontractor to get them those parts to get that stuff in there, and it's been a challenge to make that happen. We're hopeful that it'll happen soon. So we're running close to being out of budget with our consultant, our engineer. We wanted to get in front of that and get this in front of you now. We do anticipate that this we will the contractor will basically reimburse us when we reconcile the final contract at final payment. So it's really just to kind of keep the project moving. And again, hopefully the next time we're in front of you talking about this project, it's talking about it being completed.
Any questions for? I just noticed $100,000 and it was like, didn't match up with anything particular.
Yeah.
And so that's just so that you have it there to move forward with the project.
Yes, sir.
Do you have to come back on each item? We grant this 100,000, but do you have to come back for approval for anything that you're doing with that 100,000?
No, this would just be to keep Dow with their inspections and their engineering services.
Okay. Do we have any public comment?
Robin Biggs for the record. Forest Engineering, got the contract for the Yerington City and Water replacement, project. The master plan, the city didn't get a master plan from them and there was only one and they lost it. They did not, have a biased contractor coming in, making sure that the sewer lines were to grade. They were going the right way. They did it themselves. And they're not going the right way in Yerington. And some of in the Catholic Church, the 100-year-old cast iron pipe, sewer pipe is all rusted out and never did get fixed. So and they just had a very short contract with them that if things were not done right, they could come back and get it fixed. So I would hope that they're going to have quite a long contract with Far West, that if they do things wrong and their lines aren't running the right way, that yeah, because the city's paying for theirs till 2036 or 2030, no, even 2060 for their construction. We're paying for that till then, and their Far West is out of the picture, and we've got all kinds of issues going on. Thank you.
Bringing it back to the issue before us. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for motion.
Move to approve amendment number 3 to task order 116, Rolling A wastewater treatment facility, WWTF phase 4 expansion project, construction administration with Dow, previously Far West Engineering, in an amount not to exceed $100,000 to extend additional construction administration and engineering services required to complete the project. Cost to be funded from the Dayton Sewer Fund.
Have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Casanello. Those in favor say aye. Motion passes 5-0. 16A, for possible action, accept the donation of a large frame map from Bill Miles. County Manager Andrew Haskin.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. As the item states, Bill Miles offered this map offered to donate this map to the county. The board has to accept all donations. It's a pretty neat map. It's from the 1920s, or at least he estimates it's from the 1920s. It shows Lyon County as it was then. It also shows all the old historic railways through Lyon County and the railway stops. They're marked on here. any of you have seen the map in my office of the entire state of Nevada, this is a section of the same map. And so if the board chooses to accept the donation today, I would like to hang it out in the hallway, right out inside in front of the chambers. There's a picture there currently. We'll move that to another spot and hang this up.
Do you have any questions or comments?
Wow.
Any public comment? Seeing none, bring it back to the board for a motion.
Move to accept the donation of a large frame map from Bill Miles.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, second by Commissioner Casanelli. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. That brings us to number 17, agenda request. And then administrative policies and procedures 1.05, a commission member or elected appointed department head may request an item be considered on a future agenda, either by making an oral request at a county commission meeting or submitting the request in writing to the county manager at least 30 days prior to the meeting for which the item is requested to be placed on the agenda. Do we have any requests? Anything from online? Okay, move on to commissioner comments. Start off with Commissioner Hockaday.
No comment.
Commissioner Casanelli.
None at this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Hendricks.
No.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Usually I remember, but I just want to thank the Fair and Rodeo Board for a great job. We spend a lot of time getting that fairgrounds ready each and every year. Putting in grant applications, always looking to improve, really just a great people. So I want to thank them.
I do have one comment that for the county manager. I'd like to see if we can get our CPF request, like a preliminary one done maybe by November or something, not that we're guaranteed to, so that we can start working on that toward later on in the year. Just like to know what we're looking at in case I need to do more homework on those particular items. That brings us to public participation. Public participation. Do we have any?
Robin Biggs for the record. Since December of 2026, Commissioner Casanelli continues to be defiant and misunderstand the reason why the public is wanting him to have a PO box in Dayton. He is protective of his PO box of 50 years in Carson City because of his business. It does not, it's ridiculous. We're needing it to be for Dayton to show his county commission status and where he lives. County Manager Andrew Haskin on several occasions continues to have issues with the doors being open and door stops. He has even had deputies, and when we've had large crowds in here on his side saying, oh, if she doesn't sit down or she holds that door, she's being disruptive. Tell her to leave. She won't be able to come back in here. I'm very disturbed that the DA is not here and it doesn't appear to be a deputy DA. I don't know if there's one online, but this is disturbing. I sent the DA an email regarding, how are we being represented here? The agenda items, it should have who is presenting for NV Energy. It should have the representatives on there and their job titles. Even in the minutes, it doesn't have who they are. It's very disturbing. It It does, you know, the agenda item didn't even say, this agenda item that just passed for the utilities, it doesn't even say it was Silver Springs. There was a fellow from Silver Springs here, but he got, well, we're done, but it doesn't even say 15A. It doesn't say Silver Springs on it, and it's been asked over and over again for it to be more transparent of where this is going. Oh, by law, you don't have to do it? I don't know. Yeah, is that why it's not being done? Let's go above and beyond the law. It's not against the law to put that in there. The glass door there that door has glass on it. These doors need glass on it. So Commissioner Scott Keller, when I held the door open and he tried to jerk it out of my hand twice, and I was trying to show him the congestion in there, don't snarl at me. That needs to be in there. Open meeting laws are being violated. You're going by a local person that says this room is big enough. You need.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to adjournment.